The vast chamber of the Unified Galactic Council fell silent as the last member took their seat. The round room, with its high ceiling that showed the stars beyond, held representatives from 200 worlds. Today, only one topic was on their minds: Earth. 5 ships, said Leader Vex, his voice cutting through the silence. 5 ships sent to this backward planet. None returned. His gray skin reflected the starlight as he moved to the center of the chamber. We must understand why. Commander Gray stood at attention, his tall frame rigid with pride. After 30 years serving the Armada, he was the obvious choice for this mission. His black uniform, decorated with silver pins that marked his achievements, made him stand out among the council members. Commander, you will lead the 7th Armada to investigate this Earth problem, Leader Vex said. Your mission is simple. Discover what happened to our ships and assess if these humans pose any threat to our expansion. Gray nodded once. It will be done. Later, aboard the command ship, Gray met with his team. Officer Reed, a soldier with a perfect record, studied the holographic image of Earth that floated between them. Such a small planet, Reed said, his fingers moving through the blue hologram. And mostly water. The reports say these humans have only achieved basic space travel. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly. Dr. Blue, the mission scientist, shook her head. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she examined the data. There's something we're missing, she said. This planet has unusual properties. The gravity is stronger than what we're used to. The atmosphere has high oxygen levels. And look at these temperature variations, from freezing to burning hot depending on location. Gray watched the planet rotate in the hologram. What kind of creatures would evolve in such a place? Weak ones, Reed answered confidently. Our scans show they're just soft-bodied beings with no natural armor or weapons. They rely on tools. Dr. Blue wasn't convinced. Yet none of our ships returned. The Interceptor was the pride of the Armada's fleet. Its black hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. Its engines moved silently through space. No planet at Earth's technological level should be able to detect it. Gray walked through the ship, inspecting every station before departure. 100 elite soldiers and 20 scientists made up his crew. All had been briefed on Earth's known properties and the potential dangers. Commander, Reed called, approaching with a datapad. The last transmission from the 5th ship, our analysts finally decoded part of it. Gray took the pad and read the fragmented message. Unexpected resistance. Weapons unlike cannot maintain retreat. Not possible. What weapons could primitives have that would threaten our technology? Gray asked. Reed had no answer. The journey to Earth's solar system took 12 days. As they approached the outer planets, Dr. Blue called Gray to the science deck. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns, she said, pointing to her screens. They don't match any known technology in our database. Gray leaned closer. Natural phenomena? No, Dr. Blue said firmly. These are artificial, and they appear to be some kind of detection grid extending far beyond their planet. Impossible, Reed said from behind them. Our intelligence says they've barely reached their nearby planets. They can't have detection systems this far out. Gray studied the readings. Launch a probe. Let's get more information before we proceed. The small drone, no larger than Gray's hand, shot forward into the darkness. Its sensors were the most advanced. The Armada possessed capable of detailed analysis without being detected. They watched its progress on the main screen. The drone approached Earth's moon, sending back images of abandoned human structures there. Primitive, Reed commented. They couldn't even maintain their moon base. The drone continued toward Earth, its sensors capturing data about the atmosphere and surface. Commander, the technician monitoring the drone called out, we're detecting active scanning from the planet's surface. Multiple sources. Impossible, Reed said again. They shouldn't have. The screen showing the drone's feed suddenly went blank. What happened? Gray demanded. The technician worked frantically at the controls. Unknown, sir. All contact lost. The drone was functioning perfectly then. Nothing. Gray turned to Dr. Blue. Could it be the atmosphere? Some natural interference? Possibly, she said, but her tone suggested otherwise. Or it could have been destroyed. By what? Reed asked. Space debris? Or defenses we don't understand? Dr. Blue suggested. Gray made his decision. We need direct observation. Take us into orbit around Earth. Use full stealth protocols. We'll observe from darkness. The interceptor moved slowly into Earth's solar system, careful to avoid detection. As they approached the blue planet, Gray felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Doubt. Commander, Reed reported, we'll reach Earth orbit in 20 minutes. No signs of detection so far. Good, Gray said. Prepare a landing team. I'll lead it myself. Dr. Blue approached him privately. Commander, there's something else you should know. I've been analyzing the fragments of data from our previous missions. I believe they weren't just lost. They were defeated. Gray stared at her. Defeated? By primitives? Perhaps they're not as primitive as we thought, she said. Think about it. A species that evolved on a world with such harsh and varying conditions. What kind of adaptability would that require? What kind of resilience? Before Gray could answer, alarms blared across the ship. Multiple energy signatures from the planet's surface, the sensor operator shouted. They're tracking us. Impossible, Reed said for the third time. Our stealth technology is failing, the operator interrupted. Something is interfering with our systems. Gray watched as dozens of small objects launched from Earth's surface, rising rapidly toward their position. Retreat to a higher orbit, Gray ordered. Now! But it was too late. The ship shuddered as something struck their hull. Damage report, Gray commanded. Reed checked the systems. Minor damage to the outer hull. But Commander, our main engines are failing. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse. Gray looked at the blue planet below them, now seeming much more dangerous than before. So this is why no one returns, he said quietly. Dr. Blue joined him at the viewport, watching as more projectiles rose. From Earth. The invasion of Earth doesn't fail because we can't get there, she said. It fails because we don't understand what we're invading. The interceptor began to fall toward the planet below. The interceptor fell through Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing orange from the heat. Inside, Commander Gray gripped his command chair as the ship shook violently. Emergency landing protocols, he shouted over the blaring alarms. Find us somewhere. Remote. Officer Reed worked frantically at the controls. The navigation system is damaged. I'm trying to aim for that large forest area. Dr. Blue secured her equipment as the ship lurched sideways. Our stealth systems are completely offline. They can see us clearly now. Gray watched through the main viewport as the ground rushed toward them. Trees filled the screen. Tall green plants covering rolling hills. In the distance, he could see the lights of a human settlement. Brace for impact, Reed called. The ship crashed through the tree line, snapping trunks like twigs. It skidded across the forest floor, digging a deep trench in the soil before finally coming to rest against a large rocky hill. For a few moments, silence filled the command deck. Then Gray unbuckled himself from his chair. Status report, he ordered, helping a fallen crew member to her feet. Reed checked the systems. Main power is down. Backup generators functioning at 60%. Communications array damaged. He looked up at Gray. We can't call for help. What about our weapons? Gray asked. Defense systems are operational, Reed confirmed. But we've lost our main cannon. Dr. Blue approached, carrying a portable scanner. Commander, I'm detecting multiple signals approaching our position. Ground. Vehicles. They'll be here within minutes. Gray nodded grimly. We knew this might happen. Prepare for first contact. The crew donned their armor, sleek black suits that enhanced their strength and provided protection against most known weapons. Gray addressed his soldiers. Remember your training. We don't know what we're facing, but these are primitive beings. Our technology is still superior. Set weapons to stun only. We need information more than casualties. They exited the ship through the emergency hatches, spreading out into defensive positions among the trees. The forest was dark, but their armor's vision enhancement showed everything in clear detail. Strange animal sounds echoed around them. "This planet is intense," one soldier whispered. "The air feels heavy." "Higher oxygen content," Dr. Blue explained, "and stronger gravity than our homeworld. Conserve your energy." Gray heard the human vehicles before he saw them. Loud, rumbling machines that seemed incredibly inefficient. Bright lights swept through the trees as the vehicles approached and stopped about 100 meters from the crash site. "Hold positions," Gray ordered over the squad channel. "Let's see what they do." Human figures emerged from the vehicles. They wore some kind of protective gear and carried what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons. Gray counted 12 of them, moving with surprising discipline through the forest. "They're soldiers," Reed observed, "not scientists or civilians." "They found us too quickly," Dr. Blue added. "Their detection systems must be more advanced than we thought." Gray stepped forward from his hiding place, raising his empty hands in the universal gesture of peace. The human soldiers immediately pointed their weapons at him. "I come as a representative of the Unified Galactic Council," Gray announced, his translator converting his words to the main human language. "We mean no harm." The humans didn't lower their weapons. One of them, clearly the leader, spoke into a small device attached to his shoulder. Gray's translator picked up the words. "Contact made. Alien life form. Humanoid. Armed response authorized." "They're not interested in talking," Reed said tensely. One of the younger human soldiers seemed nervous, his weapon shaking slightly in his hands. When a small animal burst from the underbrush nearby, the human fired reflexively. The projectile struck Gray's shoulder armor. It shouldn't have been a problem. Their armor could withstand energy weapons much more advanced than these primitive projectiles. But to everyone's shock, the armor cracked, and Gray felt a sharp pain as the bullet penetrated. "Open fire!" Reed shouted, and the aliens began shooting stun blasts at the humans. The forest erupted in chaos. The humans took cover with surprising speed and returned fire effectively. 2 alien soldiers fell immediately, their armor failing against the human weapons. "Fall back to the ship," Gray ordered, pressing his hand against his wounded shoulder. "Now!" As they retreated, Gray watched in amazement as the humans pursued them without fear, calling to each other and coordinating their movements like experienced hunters. Inside the ship, Dr. Blue examined Gray's wound. "How is this possible?" Gray asked, wincing as she removed the bullet. "Their weapons are just metal projectiles." Dr. Blue studied the bullet. "The metal is unusual, and the force behind it was greater than expected." She looked worried. "Commander, I think we've made a serious miscalculation." Reed was monitoring the humans through the ship's external cameras. "They're setting up a perimeter. More vehicles arriving. They're calling for something called heavy equipment." Gray struggled to his feet. "We need to understand what we're facing." Dr. Blue analyzed everything, their weapons, their communications, their tactics. Dr. Blue nodded, already working at her station. "Commander, look at this," she said after a few minutes. "I've intercepted their communications. They're not surprised by our presence. They're following established protocols for extraterrestrial contact." "That's impossible," Reed said. "This would be their first encounter with alien life." No, Gray realized, the truth dawning on him. This isn't their first contact. They've seen our kind before. The missing ships, Dr. Blue whispered. Gray looked at the screen showing the humans efficiently setting up a base camp around their crashed ship. "We need to move before they bring in reinforcements. We'll split into 3 groups. Reed, take 5 soldiers and head west. Dr. Blue, you'll come with me and 2 guards to the north. The rest will create a diversion to the east." Outside, the sun was beginning to rise, revealing a sky that was a shade of blue unlike anything on their homeworld. Gray led his small group deeper into the forest, away from the human forces. "Do you think the council knows?" Dr. Blue asked, as they moved carefully through the dense vegetation, "about what really happens to ships sent to Earth?" Gray didn't answer immediately. The pain in his shoulder was a constant reminder of how wrong their intelligence had been. "I don't know," he finally said. But I intend to find out. And more. Importantly, I intend to make sure someone gets back to tell them. In the distance, they heard the sound of human aircraft approaching. They're hunting us, Dr. Blue said. Gray nodded grimly. Yes, and I'm beginning to think they're very good at it. The forest grew quiet as night fell. Commander Gray and Dr. Blue had been moving for hours, putting distance between themselves and the crashed ship. Their two guards, Soldiers Pike and Mills, scouted ahead, looking for a safe place to rest. Commander, Dr. Blue said, examining her portable scanner, I'm picking up radio signals from all directions. The humans are coordinating a massive search operation. Gray looked up at the night sky, barely visible through the thick tree canopy. Can you tap into their communications? Dr. Blue adjusted her scanner. Yes, but it's risky. They might detect us. We need information more than stealth right now, Gray decided. Do it. Dr. Blue's scanner crackled to life and human voices filled the air. Gray didn't need the translator to sense the urgency in their tones. They're setting up search grids, Dr. Blue translated. They've already found our ship and are examining the technology. She looked worried. And they've captured some of our crew. Gray clenched his fist. Reed? Dr. Blue listened intently. No mention of him, but they're talking about a special containment unit for the captured aliens. Pike returned from his scouting mission. Commander, there's a human dwelling about 1 kilometer ahead. Small, isolated. Only 2 heat signatures inside. Gray considered their options. We need shelter and information. Let's observe this dwelling first. They moved carefully through the forest, their steps silent despite the carpet of dry leaves and twigs. When they reached the edge of a clearing, they saw a small wooden structure with light glowing from its windows. Primitive construction, Mills observed. But they have electricity. Gray studied the building. Through one window he could see 2 humans, an older male and a younger female, sitting at a table, eating food. They appear to be a family unit, Dr. Blue said, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she took notes on her device. This could be valuable for my research on human social structures. Stay focused, Doctor, Gray reminded her. We need to. His words were cut short by a loud mechanical noise approaching from the east. They ducked lower as a flying machine. A helicopter, according to their briefing materials, passed overhead, its powerful searchlight sweeping across the forest. They're thorough, Pike said admiringly. We've never been hunted like this before. The helicopter circled back, its searchlight getting closer to their position. Move back into the trees, Gray ordered. Now. As they retreated, Gray's injured shoulder struck a low branch. He couldn't suppress a grunt of pain. The helicopter's searchlight immediately swung in their direction. Run! Gray shouted, abandoning stealth. They sprinted through the forest. As the helicopter hovered above, the searchlight caught Mills, illuminating him in harsh white light. Split up, Gray commanded. Meet at the human dwelling in 1 hour if you can. Gray and Dr. Blue ran west while Pike headed east. Mills fired his weapon at the helicopter before running south. The distraction worked. The helicopter followed Mills, its light leaving Gray and Dr. Blue in darkness. Will he be all right? Dr. Blue asked as they slowed their pace. Mills is a trained soldier, Gray said, though he wasn't confident. These humans were proving far more capable than anyone had expected. Meanwhile, Officer Reed and his team moved cautiously through a different part of the forest. They had been traveling south for hours following a small stream. Sir, one of his soldiers whispered. Movement ahead. Reed signaled for everyone to take cover. Through the trees they could see a group of humans in dark uniforms moving in, formation using advanced night vision equipment. They're well trained, Reed observed. Military, not civilian. Should we engage? A soldier asked. Reed shook his head. No! We're outnumbered and... A bright flash blinded them, followed by a deafening bang. Reed fell to the ground, his ears ringing. Through blurred vision, he saw armored humans swarming their position. His soldiers tried to fight back, but they were quickly overwhelmed. Strong hands grabbed Reed, forcing him to the ground. Something cold and metallic clicked around his wrists. Subject secured, a human voice said. transporting to Facility 7. Miles away, Gray and Dr. Blue approached the human dwelling they had seen earlier. The helicopter had not returned, and the forest was quiet again. "What's our plan?" Dr. Blue asked. "We observe," Gray said. "Learn what we can about these humans up close." They watched the dwelling for 30 minutes. The older human eventually left the main room while the younger one remained, looking at some kind of information device. A computer, Gray recalled from their briefings. "She's alone now," Gray noted. "This might be our chance to—" "Commander?" Dr. Blue interrupted, her voice urgent. "Look at her screen." Gray squinted, using his armor's vision enhancement to zoom in on the human's computer. What he saw made his blood run cold. The screen showed technical diagrams of alien technology. Their technology. That's the engine design from our previous expeditions," Dr. Blue whispered. "How do they have this?" The human girl was reading some kind of report, scrolling through pages of text interspersed with images of alien craft, including clear pictures of ships that had been sent to Earth before theirs. "They didn't just find our previous ships," Gray realized. "They've been studying them, learning from them." Dr. Blue's scanner beeped softly. "Commander, I'm detecting an unusual energy signature from inside that dwelling. It's similar to our communication technology." Gray's mind raced. "They've reverse-engineered our tech. That's how they detected us so quickly. That's how they knew our armor's weaknesses." The sound of approaching vehicles made them duck back into the shadows. 3 large black trucks stopped in front of the dwelling. Humans in uniform exited the vehicles and approached the house. The young human girl quickly shut down her computer and hid some papers as someone knocked on the door. When she opened it, the uniformed humans entered, speaking urgently. Dr. Blue's translator picked up fragments. "Another ship. Need your expertise. Bringing in subjects for study." The girl nodded, gathered some items, and left with the uniformed humans. The dwelling fell dark and silent. "Pike should have been here by now," Gray said, checking the time on his armor's display. "Do you think he was captured too?" Dr. Blue asked. Before Gray could answer, they heard a rustling in the bushes behind them. They spun around, weapons ready, only to see Pike stumbling toward them, his armor damaged and covered in dirt. "Commander," Pike gasped, falling to his knees. "They're everywhere. Mills was taken, and their weapons." He touched a scorched hole in his armor. "They're using our own technology against us." Gray helped Pike to his feet. "We need to move again. This area isn't safe." "Nowhere is safe," Pike said grimly. "This whole planet is a trap." As they moved deeper into the forest, Dr. Blue spoke quietly. "Commander, I think I understand now. Earth isn't just another planet. It's a testing ground." "For what?" Gray asked. "For the humans," she replied. "Each ship we send teaches them more about us. They're learning, adapting, getting stronger." She looked at Gray with all 4 of her eyes wide. "And I think they've been preparing for a full-scale invasion for a very long time." Dawn broke over the forest, pale light filtering through the leaves. Commander Gray, Dr. Blue, and Soldier Pike had found shelter in a small cave beside a stream. They were exhausted after a night of constant movement. "The humans will search this area soon," Pike said, checking his damaged armor. "We can't stay long." Gray nodded, wincing as Dr. Blue examined his shoulder wound. The injury had grown worse overnight. "Your body is rejecting something in the human weapon," Dr. Blue explained. "I don't have the right medical supplies to treat it properly." A noise outside made them freeze. Pike raised his weapon, aiming at the cave entrance. A figure appeared, silhouetted against the morning light. It was a human, the young female they had seen at the dwelling the previous night. She stood at the entrance, her hands raised to show she wasn't armed. "I know you're in there," she called softly. "I'm not with the military. I want to help." "It's a trap," Pike whispered. The human took another step forward. "My name is Mary. I've been studying your kind for years. Please, you're hurt. I can help." Gray considered their options. His wound was getting worse. They were running out of supplies, and they needed information. "How did you find us?" Gray called out. "Your energy signatures," Mary replied. "I have a detector I built based on previous visitors." She paused. "They're going to find you soon. The military has better equipment than mine." Gray made his decision. "Enter slowly." Mary stepped into the cave. She carried a small bag which she placed on the ground. "Your shoulder needs treatment," she said to Gray. "The bullets we use against your kind contain a special alloy that disrupts your cellular structure." "You've been preparing for us," Gray said. It wasn't a question. Mary nodded as she pulled medical supplies from her bag. For decades, since the first ship crashed in the 1970s, Dr. Blue's four eyes widened. "The first ship? How many have there been?" 12 that I know of," Mary answered, applying a strange paste to Gray's wound. "Most people don't know. The government keeps it secret. But my father worked on the recovery team for the third crash. He borrowed things, left notes." "Why are you helping us?" Pike demanded. Mary didn't look up from treating Gray's wound. "Because not all humans agree with how we're handling this. Some of us want understanding, not war." "Yet your people are very good at war," Gray observed. Mary smiled sadly. "That's what Earth does. It makes fighters." She finished bandaging Gray's shoulder. "There. That should neutralize the alloy, and allow your natural healing to work." Dr. Blue had been studying Mary closely. "Your knowledge of our biology is impressive. We've had time to learn," Mary said. "And motivation." She sat back on her heels. "Your friend, the one the military captured, they've taken him to a facility about 20 miles from here." "Reed," Gray said. "Is he alive?" Mary nodded. "They don't kill your kind. You're too valuable for research." Meanwhile, at the military facility, Officer Reed was strapped to an examination table. Bright lights shone down on him as humans in white protective suits moved around the room, taking readings and samples. "Subject appears to have similar organ structure to previous specimens," one human said into a recording device. "But the cellular regeneration is more advanced. This is definitely a newer model." Reed struggled against his restraints. "I am an officer of the 7th Armada. You have no right to hold me." The human scientists ignored him. One approached, with a small device that reminded Reed of their own scanning technology, except it couldn't possibly be made by humans. "Fascinating," the human said, studying the readings. "Their communication system is embedded directly into their nervous system, much more advanced than the previous subjects." Another human entered the room, this one wearing a military uniform with many decorations. The scientist straightened respectfully. "General," one greeted him, "we're making good progress with this specimen." The general nodded. "What have you learned about their ship?" "It's at least 3 generations ahead of the previous craft we recovered," the scientist reported. "The weapon systems alone will advance our program by decades." The general approached Reed, studying him coldly. "Where are the others from your ship? How many of you came to Earth?" Reed remained silent, following his training for capture situations. The general smiled without warmth. "You don't need to tell us, we'll find them." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and prepare the new hybrid weapons for field testing. I want to try them on the aliens still out there." Back at the cave, Mary showed Gray and the others a small electronic device. "This is a map of the military patrols," she explained. "They're concentrating their search here and here." She pointed to areas marked in red. "If you go this way through the mountains, you might avoid them." Gray studied the map. "What is this facility?" he asked, pointing to a large complex marked with a special symbol. Mary hesitated. "That's where they take the ships, and your people. They call it the Vault." "How heavily guarded is it?" Gray asked. "Very," Mary replied. "But I might be able to get you inside. I sometimes consult there because of my father's work." Dr. Blue had been unusually quiet. Now she spoke up. Commander, I've been analyzing the human communications I've intercepted. There's something you need to know. She handed Gray her scanner. On the screen was a decoded message. Alert all commands. Unified Galactic Council vessel detected approaching. Earthspace. Prepare countermeasures. Operation Trojan Horse now active. Gray read it twice. The Armada. They must have sent a rescue ship when we didn't report back. It's worse than that, Dr. Blue said. Based on the transmission timing, they sent it before we even arrived. They were expecting reinforcements. All along. Pike looked confused. But how would they know? Mary answered quietly. Because we've been listening to your communications for years. We can intercept and decode your transmissions now. Gray felt cold realization wash over him. This was never about defending against invasion. You've been luring our ships here, learning from each one. Not me personally, Mary protested. But yes, some in our military. They believe the best defense is to let you come in small groups, capture your technology, and prepare for the real invasion. And it's worked perfectly, Dr. Blue said. Each ship we send provides you with more knowledge. Gray stood up suddenly. We need to warn the Armada. They're flying into a trap. How? Pike asked. Our communication equipment was destroyed. In the crash. Mary looked nervous but determined. I know where you can send a message, but it's risky. Where? Gray demanded. The vault, she said. They have a powerful transmitter there, built from your technology. It can reach deep space. Gray looked at Dr. Blue and Pike. We have no choice. We must warn the Armada, or thousands more will die, both our people and humans. Dr. Blue nodded. The Council needs to know the truth about Earth. And what is the truth exactly? Pike asked bitterly. Dr. Blue looked at Mary, then back to Gray. That humans are unlike any species we've encountered. They don't seek harmony or balance. They expect conflict. They prepare for it. Their entire history is warfare, and it's made them exceptionally good at fighting. Mary didn't deny it. Earth is hard. Life here has always been a struggle. When something threatens us, we don't surrender. We adapt. We overcome. Gray remembered the Council's dismissal of humans as primitive and weak, how wrong they had been. We leave in 10 minutes, he decided. Mary, you'll guide us to this vault. As they prepared to move out, Gray looked up at the morning sky, wondering if the Armada ship was already up there, unaware of the deadly welcome Earth had prepared for them. Night had fallen by the time Commander Gray, Dr. Blue, and Soldier Pike reached the perimeter of the facility Mary had called the Vault. It was an enormous complex surrounded by high walls and watchtowers nestled against a mountain. There are guards everywhere, Pike whispered, using his armor's enhanced vision to scan the area. And those energy readings. They have our weapons. Mary nodded grimly. The main research building is in the center. That's where they keep the transmitter. And your friend? Officer Reed is alive? Gray asked. Yes, they'll keep him for study, Mary said. Like the others. Dr. Blue's scanner beeped softly. Commander, I'm detecting a signal from orbit. The Armada ship has arrived. Gray's expression hardened. Then we have no time to waste. Mary, you said you could get us inside? I can get you to the entrance, she corrected. I have clearance because of my father's research. But once we're in, you'll have to move quickly. Gray checked his weapon. Pike, you'll create a diversion on the east side of the complex. Dr. Blue and I will find the transmitter with Mary's help. They moved quietly toward the main gate. Mary walked ahead, approaching the guards with confidence. Mary Thompson, special, consultant, she told them, showing an identification card. I was called in to examine the new specimens. The guards checked their tablets. We don't have you on tonight's list. Check again, Mary said calmly. General Davis requested me specifically. While the guards were distracted, Gray and Dr. Blue used their armor's adaptive camouflage to slip past the gate, staying in the shadows. Pike headed toward the east side of the complex. Inside the facility, alarms suddenly blared. Perimeter breach. In Sector 7, a voice announced over loudspeakers. All personnel on alert. That's Pike, Gray said with appreciation. He's giving us our window. Mary led them through a maze of corridors, avoiding groups of running soldiers. The research lab is 2 levels down, she whispered. That's where they keep the transmitter. They entered a stairwell and descended. The research level was eerily quiet, most personnel having responded to the alarm above. This way, Mary said, leading them to a large set of doors marked Restricted Area. She swiped her card, but a red light flashed. They've changed the security protocols, she said worriedly. Dr. Blue examined the control panel. I can override it, but it will alert security. Do it, Gray ordered. We're out of time. Dr. Blue connected her scanner to the panel. After a tense moment, the doors slid open. Inside was a vast laboratory filled with alien technology. Pieces of ships, weapons, and equipment from previous expeditions. By the stars, Dr. Blue whispered. They've collected so much. In the center of the lab stood a large device that Gray recognized immediately. That's one of our communication arrays modified with human technology. Yes, said a voice behind them. Quite impressive, isn't it? They spun around to see the general from the military standing there, flanked by soldiers, with advanced weapons. Officer Reed was with them, restrained but alive. Reed, Gray exclaimed. Commander, Reed acknowledged, his voice weak. I told them nothing. The general smiled. He didn't need to. We've been studying your kind for 50 years. We know everything about you, your weaknesses, your strengths, your communication protocols. He gestured to the modified array. We even know that your armada is in orbit right now preparing to rescue you. Mary stepped forward. General Davis, this has gone too far. We can't keep provoking them. Eventually, they'll send more than we can handle. That's exactly what we're counting on, Dr. Thompson, the general replied. Each ship gives us more technology, more advantages. When their full invasion force eventually comes, we'll be ready. Gray looked at the general with new understanding. You're luring them in, ship by ship, building your defenses with our own technology. Precisely, the general said. Humanity has always learned fastest from its enemies. Your council has sent 12 ships over 50 years. Each one made us stronger. Dr. Blue had been quietly working on her scanner behind her back. She caught Gray's eye and gave a small nod. And now, the general continued, we'll capture their rescue ship too, adding their technology to our arsenal. You don't understand, Gray said urgently. The Armada isn't sending a rescue ship. They're sending a battle cruiser with enough firepower to level this entire continent. The general laughed. A bluff, Commander. Our intelligence. At that moment, the facility shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as alarms blared. What was that? One of the soldiers asked nervously. The beginning, Gray said grimly. The Armada doesn't take chances when ships go missing. Dr. Blue's scanner had connected to the communication array. With a quick motion, she activated it. Channel open, Commander, but it won't last long. Gray pushed past the stunned general and reached the array. This is Commander Gray of the Interceptor. Urgent message to all Armada vessels. Earth is a trap. Repeat, Earth is a trap. The humans have been capturing our ships and reverse engineering our technology for decades. They are prepared for invasion. Withdraw immediately. The general lunged for Gray, but Reed, seeing his chance, broke free from his distracted guards and tackled the general to the ground. You fool, the general shouted. We need them to come. Each ship makes us stronger. Another explosion rocked the facility closer this time. The lights flickered. They're targeting alien technology signatures, Dr. Blue realized. Including this facility. Mary grabbed Gray's arm. There's a hangar on the lower level. They have ships. Working ships built from your technology. We can use one to escape and reach your armada in person. Gray looked at Reed, who had subdued the general. Let's go. They fought their way to the lower level as the facility continued to shake under orbital bombardment. The hangar was filled with strange hybrid craft. Part human, part alien technology. Can you fly one of these? Gray asked Reed. Reed examined the nearest ship. I think so. The controls are similar to ours. As they boarded the craft, Mary hesitated at the entrance. Come with us, Gray urged her. This place is about to be destroyed. Mary shook her head. This is my home, Commander. My planet. I have to stay and try to make them understand. War isn't the answer, not for humans, not for your people. Gray respected her decision. Good luck, Mary Thompson of Earth. You have courage worthy of any warrior. The hangar doors opened and Reed piloted the hybrid ship into the night sky, accelerating toward the stars. Behind them, the vault erupted in flames as the Armada's weapons found their target. In orbit, they approached the massive Armada battlecruiser cautiously. They're scanning us, Reed reported. They don't recognize this ship's configuration. Open a channel, Gray ordered. This is Commander Gray of the 7th Armada. Hold your fire and prepare for emergency boarding. I have critical information. For the Council. Hours later, Gray stood before the command deck of the battlecruiser, addressing its captain and senior officers. Earth isn't just another planet to be conquered, he explained. It's a world that creates warriors. Humans have spent their entire history fighting, against nature, against each other, against anything that threatens them. They don't surrender. They adapt. They overcome. But they're primitives, one officer protested. Their technology is advancing rapidly, Dr. Blue interrupted. Especially now that they have captured our ships. They're learning, evolving their technology by studying ours. The Council must understand, Gray concluded. Earth isn't a target for invasion. It's a warning to the galaxy. These humans, if we push them too far, they won't just defend their world. One day they'll reach the stars in force, and when that happens, he left the sentence unfinished, but everyone understood. The captain nodded slowly. I'll relay your report to the Council, Commander, but what do you recommend we do about Earth now? Gray looked out at the blue planet below them, beautiful and deadly. Quarantine it, he said firmly. No ships in or out, leave them alone. Because if we don't... He paused, remembering Mary's courage and the General's determination. If we don't, we may create the very enemy that will one day conquer us all.